Clay works the way it does, the reason that it functions the way it does, and it's so strong, even so it can be really thin. If you looked at a microscope, through a microscope at clay platelets, they almost look like playing cards. They're platelets is what they are. And so they're all like these little flakes of clay. And if you've ever been, so you're playing Uno, you know, and you're playing there, and all of a sudden somebody spills a Pepsi, and the Pepsi goes all over the cards and everything. You start picking the cards up real fast so that they don't get stuck together or get Pepsi all over them. And sometimes you'll pick up one card, but you'll get two. They'll be stuck together like that. There'll be a little drop of Pepsi in between them. And the surface tension, that little bit of water, creates adhesion between those two flat plates of playing cards. And so that adhesion makes them stick together. So you can pick up one card and you'll get two because of how they're stuck together. Well, that's kind of how clay works. When I make a bowl, all those platelets go sliding like this, so you get really thin wall things, but they're really, really strong because of how the structure, the molecular structure is. So what I'm going to do now is get all those molecules all lined up and happy and ready to be a bowl rather than just a, this thing still thinks it's in a riverbank someplace. There are very, very few things, processes that we do in life that have remained so identical and so unchanged as pottery. You find some mud by the riverbank, you pull it out, you pick the stones out of it, you pitch it into a pot, you put it into a hot fire, you close the fire so it gets really, really hot, and when it's all done you pull it out and there's a little pot that's waterproof and pretty durable too. I am fortunate to have these big honking clay machines, and so I mix all my own clay. So every year for the last 20 years, I put the call out to my friends. I said, okay, clay day's going to be next month. You need to make some clay. And they said, yeah, I know. And we'd all mix clay. And it's a huge, horrible, it's hard work. It's just, it's all day long and it's really heavy. But over the time, we all know where to stand, everybody knows what to do and everything. So it's the friends that I've accumulated and my artist friends who, none of us have any money, but we all have skills. So when the call goes out, hey, I got to build a barn, hey, I got to build a kiln, you put the word out and the boys show up and everybody pitches in, and it's a very great community that I am involved in. Right when I started to be a potter, the first thought I had was, first pot I made, I thought, wow, I could do this on top of a mountain someplace. And it was like my release that I wouldn't have to work in an office someplace. And so here I am on the side of a mountain, which is even better because the wind is easier. And somebody told me that the best thing you can do for yourself is find an environment, create an environment for yourself that feeds you. You know, find out what it is that nurtures you and park yourself there. And so do whatever you can to want to be there. So I've got my CD player, my XM radio, my birds are all around me and everything. So it's just like a little magic. It's my little kingdom when I come down here in the morning. Even though my big sculptural things are fun, I still like making pots that people use every single day and get so attached to that they can't drink the coffee without it, because I hear about them. I've made so many mugs in my life. This is no exaggeration. There's probably about, maybe 25,000 Norton mugs out in the world right now. A few of them broke, but there's a lot of them still out there. And people use them every day, and when if something happens and they break them, the maid drops or something happens, I hear about it that next morning. They call me and go, I can't drink my coffee, send me a new mug. And for me, that's a real thrill, that something that I would do becomes such a part of their daily life that there's a personal connection.
Put them right on top. Here, I got it. Very pure fire. Okay.
There's lots of different types of firing, and there's lots of temperatures that which people fire to. Raku, for instance, is a lower temperature firing, and it's more for quick results, and you're not really trying to get vitrification as more you're trying to get the glazes to melt. Bisqueware is about the same temperature as Raku, which is about 1800 degrees. The difference with the high firing is after they've been bisqued, then they're still slightly porous, willing to accept glazes, but they're not quite solid like glass. Everything is infused together. There's still room for some air in there. So when I dip the pot in a glaze, it wants to fill all those little pores up, so it kind of acts as a sponge and sucks all the glaze on. So then all of the powdered glaze is on the surface of the bisqueware pot, and it has to go into the big kiln and get fired all the way up another 500 degrees. And that melts the glazes and fuses the glaze to the clay and makes it totally vitrified. Everybody fires different styles. Tiles get fired to slightly different temperatures. Stoneware ranges go from cone 6 to cone 10. I fire to cone 10. It takes about 11 hours or 12 hours to get from stone cold to glaze melt. It's a tricky little 10 minutes there at the end of the firing as the wind to shut it off. Well, opening the kiln is always a surprise. It can be Christmas or it can be Halloween. Some of my glazes are pretty predictable, but others, the ones that are the most volatile and run the most, you never know. You want them to run a lot, but then you want them to stop just before they run onto the shelves. So it's the product of about 5 or 6 or 7 weeks of work. So if it's bad, it's real bad. My wife knows to run in the other direction if I don't have a big smile on my face when I roll the kiln out. I've made lots and lots of pots in my life, and the big sculptural ones, I like making those, but they don't have that connection of the hand that's so important. So functional pots really are the connection to the people that use them and to the people that make them, because you hold them in your hands and you use them and you feel the 30 years of experience in every single pot from a pot that's made by a really good potter. You can feel every pot that he made to get to that point. When we sit down at our dinner table, in the vessels that we choose to use for our meals, we're surrounded by 6, 7, 8 of our best friends, people that we've come to know and love and admire. It's more than just fueling up. There's a positive, personal, human connection that is made with pots that are made one at a time by people. It seems all these big homes around us all are self-contained. They all have theater rooms and ice cream rooms and exercise rooms and computer links to the world, so no one has to leave. And I think we're all really getting separate from one another in a bad way. And I feel like a dinosaur sometimes, but it's still nice to make objects that people use in their daily lives that brings a little bit of warmth and the human touch to everyday rituals, and that's what brings us all closer. I get a lot of satisfaction from what I do. I'm never going to be wealthy, but I'm rich in a lot of ways, and there's nothing better than before I flick off the light in my studio than to look back at my rack of pots and see what at the beginning of the day was a ball of mud, but at the end of the day is something that's going to be a thing of beauty that people will have in their homes and make their lives better.